Last time on Dragon Ball Z, after delivering a stern ultimatum to Babidi, Goku agreed to play into the magician's hands by throwing down with Vegeta, on the condition that the two be moved to a desolate area where no more innocents, notwithstanding those that would likely not get their toast buttered due to the free energy being siphoned directly to Majin Buu's gullet, would come to harm as a result of their match. Babidi was all too happy to oblige, sending the Saiyan warriors as well as Gohan and the Kai out to a remote location where the brawlers could fight to their heart's content and the resurrection was now all but guaranteed. During the gut-pounding, knee-busting Saiyan Battle Royale, Kai and Gohan made their way to the heart of Babidi's ship, where they came upon a massive hemorrhoid said to be the current lodgings of one Sir Majin Buu. Babidi, quite certain that Buu's birth was imminent, promptly transported the quartet out of the ship where Deborah would make mincemeat out of the riffraff so they could watch the ball drop in peace. Babidi looked over to Tim and asked if he was sure he had what it takes to dust this earthling, because as much as he didn't like him, he had no choice but to admit the mongrels knew how to get busy in a boxing ring. Deborah smirked without hesitation. "No need to worry, master. I assess the boy's skill in a lateral squabble, and he's what I've heard the ingrates on this planet refer to as light work." You already know Gohan's cooked because even Buddy didn't have a rebuttal ready to go. Worse than that, man was actually wondering if Deborah might be right. As the Lumen Row session permeated the atmosphere, in his mind all Gohan could think of was his dad's words. "Never wear condoms, son. They take away all the..." Wait, different words. "Remember how pissed you were against Cell back in the day, son? I swear on your mom's OnlyFans that if you can do that again, there's not a person out there that could beat you." Gohan sure didn't feel that way though. He was angry, extremely angry. But it wasn't the same way it was against Cell. And he couldn't force his mind into that place right now either. I like this little inner monologue a lot, because it shows how Gohan is still wrestling with the greatest enemy he's had since childhood. Homie's insecurity. On paper, Gohan has all the tools to make for the ultimate warrior. A healthy body, intelligence, unfair amounts of chakra storage, years worth of battlefield experience. If you were looking at Gohan's stats on the spreadsheet, man would damn near be a 99 overall and completely unfair in nearly every respect. But the issue with Gohan is that for all of his abilities and gifts, the man does not believe in himself. And no matter what these red pill coaches might try to tell you, that kind of confidence and self-belief isn't something you can fake. If it ain't there, it ain't there. And so Gohan's battle has always been a psychological one, where he's constantly looking for the spark that'll help him bring out the best in him when his belief in himself fails. It's such an interesting take on a shonen pro tag because it's the opposite of what we so often see. As much as it drives the fan base up a wall, I think Gohan's doubting himself is exactly what makes him so interesting as a character. And it's also a reason that his ultimate transformation affects those around him so profoundly. It's Gohan smoking on that Vegeta pack, where all of his self-doubt as a race and in mind, body, and soul, he finally realizes that he's that guy and is ready to do the job his pops ordained him to do so many years back. Well, that is, until he isn't. But that's a story for another day. For now, we return to Gohan and Kai preparing to square up and run this 2-on-2 when in the midst of knuckling up, Babidi's bus-ass detectors start lighting up off the charts and the man's full attention goes from them to his globe. Homie then starts emoting and at the top of his lungs screams, "It's real! The One Piece is real!" Now he starts losing it off the fact that this pulsing hemorrhoid at the center stage has now reached full power, meaning that right now, it's morphin' time. Supreme Kai and Gohan start staring at each other panicking, like when Courage the Cowardly Dog loses Muriel, wondering how in the name of Universe 7 is Buu already at capacity for resurrection. With reluctance, Gohan explains that it's more than likely his pops and uncle's fault. Both of them are fighting at a Super Saiyan 2 level right now, and this Buu guy must be breathing in the fumes, getting absolutely lifted off the back of their skirmish. As we do a brief cutaway to Vegeta and Goku blowing each other's backs out, we return to Kai and Gohan as they prepare for the worst day of their lives so far.
Oh, this is the worst day of my life.
The worst day of your life so far.
Kai, absolutely dumbfounded, loses any semblance of calm and decorum and tells Gohan to get his diving suit wearing ass out of the vicinity pronto. It's time to bounce. But Kai, what about the bad guys? We can't just leave this Majin Buu guy here to do whatever he pleases, can we? Gohan, I'm going to say this as nicely as I can. You are ass. You're washed. You're 2021 Carmelo Anthony. You're Jordan on the Wizards. You had your day in the sun, big fella, but you are not ready for Majin Buu. Get the hell out of Dodge right now and don't even look back. This is not a discussion. Gohan, feeling humiliated and unable to wipe the Saiyaman from his blood, summons his inner Piccolo and Ki charges, determined to be the dad that stepped up in his final hour. Summoning everything he has in reserve, he shoots a Kamehameha wave at the kidney stone house of Majin Buu, hoping to relive his glory days in the final moments of the Cell Saga, thinking that if he just gives everything he has at this pivotal moment, the worst can be averted and the day will be saved. But I can't even hold y'all, even the Kamehameha wave he fired in comparison to the one he fired off one-handed, I might add, against Cell, just did not measure up. It's like the IRL version of your Kamehameha versus the one your girl told you not to worry about type deal. I ain't never seen a Kamehameha that looked like it needed some blue chew before. They just really would not let this man Gohan get a dub on the board for anything in this section. Like, the power-up section was so sick. Buddy's jacked, gave one of the best monologues he ever has in his whole life. Then this is what we get. And y'all want to know the worst part? The Kamehameha was yellow. Yellow. Where do they do that at? I know Buddy wishes he would have spent those last 7 years a little bit different now, but as we say in the business, it is what it is. The beam is fired and dissipates as it hits the egg. Then all of a sudden, the massive ball of flesh just kind of hops into the air and flies back down, leaving everyone in the room wondering what in the world is even going on anymore. And after a few moments of breathless silence, the egg begins to come apart, and Bobby starts geeking and handing out L's like that Floyd Mayweather meme, prepared to watch his new creation pile drive his persistent pursuers. But as the egg opens, to his horror, there's nothing inside. You can smell the smugness in the air as Supreme Kai grins at how the turns have tabled. Well, if it isn't the consequences of your own actions. Bad day for you, Rufus. Looks like Gohan's last urine-colored beam attack turned out to be enough to disintegrate your little pet after you spent all this time gassing him up. Buddy was in his Pokeball so long he was weak enough to get swatted by my third string. No offense, Gohan. Dabura tried to salvage the situation. Don't worry, Master. You still have me and my immaculately groomed goatee, as well as that balding Saiyan with the attitude problem. You never needed this Majin Buu character in the first place. If looks could kill, Babidi would have just ran Supreme Kai through 70 times over, but the boastful guy wasn't done. Now then, Gohan, why don't you go ahead and show that temper tantrum you kept talking about earlier, and show these fellas what a real party looks like. For some reason, Gohan appeared to be sweating and shaking, under his breath barely audibly muttering that an incredible energy was here before shooting his gaze up above. Above them all, an ominous cloud of smoke began to congregate overhead. Gohan and Kai's stomachs dropped, hoping that if they didn't say it out loud, it wouldn't be true. They were not so lucky. In short order, the clouds came together and eventually settled into the silhouette of what appeared to be a rotund mass of concentrated evil. Gohan shrieked, "Is that E40?
Star Wars? Nope. Yoda? Yeah.
But Supreme Kai recognized that size 62 waist anywhere. Majin Buu was here, and their goose was all but cooked. As they gazed at the heavyweight annihilator, only one thought permeated both sides. Is this really the guy? Dabura looked over to Rufus and was like, Master, whose man is this? There's no way in the hells that this is Majin Buu we spent all the energy and time to summon. Bobby himself stared wordless, taking a quick glance over at Kai, who was the only one in their presence that knew what the guy actually looked like. Gohan levied the same question Dabura had at the Supreme, wondering if this was truly Majin Buu, the planet-busting, spine-cracking, universe-shaking menace that he had been attempting to scare them all to death about since he arrived. In Gohan's head, the only thing that he could see this guy shaking was the table at the buffet. Planet-busting terror vibes ain't exactly what this man was giving off at the moment. The beads of sweat and the hateful glare on Kai's face confirmed that this was actually the correct guy though, and their next move should be planned with caution. Our view finally returns to the wasteland where Goku put a pause on his date with Vegeta after sensing an immense power off in the distance. Vegeta was like, oh nah, not today buddy, I gave up everything for this scrap, and the last thing I'm about to let your monkey ass do right now is blue ball me. Vegeta, you really gotta start saying no Diddy after some of this stuff, but please just take like a second and see if you can sense it too. This Buu dude might be no joke. Utilizing all self-control, Vegeta landed and briefly sensed the energy surrounding them. I felt it, Kakarot, and now I'm even more sure than before that I was absolutely correct. This Buu asshole's definitely free eats, and that weakling Kai's been gassing him up all this time for absolutely nothing. And let's be honest, clown, we knew this from the start. From the moment that purple soy jack showed up at this tournament, he's been one disappointment after another. And if I wasn't already an atheist, I damn sure would be now, because I'm expected to worship that. Then hell seems like the most acceptable alternative anyway. Nah, Vegeta, something's off. I'm telling you, shut your damn mouth, Kakarot. We are not stopping this fight. Our view comes back to ground zero where Babidi is attempting to create a truce with Buu, informing them that he is the son of his original creator and that he's also the one that released him from his seal, making Buu what is known on Earth as his bitch. This fella Boo immediately revealed the type of time he was on, hitting Rufus with a cold shoulder before giving him shonen disrespect classic, sticking his tongue out on some schoolyard nonsense and letting Babidi know that's a no-go on this whole master thing. Gohan watched on confused, but it was Dabura who was first to speak up in opposition, declaring the Majin Buu experiment a dud. I refuse to believe this fat pink nitwit is a universally feared Majin Buu. His power is mediocre, with his foolishness only being eclipsed by his massive waist. There's nothing to be gained from him except maybe his vast knowledge of fast food locations across the multiverse. That's when Majin Buu, not entirely certain, but pretty sure this dude was cooking him, and not in the way that he liked, began gearing up for a squabble, channeling the spirit of Harambe and Donkey Kong as he set plans for putting this dude through a wall. The bored people what was happening. It was like, oh, so you want to get active? Ain't nothing but space and opportunity here, big fella. Come make the biggest mistake of your life. Gohan watched on, not entirely convinced yet that Dabura was wrong, and the Majin Buu allegations may have been a bit overblown. Kai asked his young companion to watch closely. I know you guys think I'm soft, but just watch what happens. Then, as if responding to the Kai's words, for a moment a switch appeared to flip in Buu as an open smile ripped across his face, and his eyes opened just enough to reveal tiny, unstable pupils locked onto their target. In a flash, Majin Buu hit Dabura with the Three Stooges special, doinking him in the eyes with two of his outstretched fingers, somehow made all the worse by the fact that the gloves have no individual finger openings, before sending Dabura, who was now doing his best Stevie Wonder impression, directly into a nearby cliffside with a single kick. All stood surprised as Buu managed to dust the formidable Dabura with a devastating two-piece, making the villain whom Gohan struggled against for so long appear as a complete non-factor. Babidi couldn't have been happier, glazing the bubblegum-colored bruiser up some fears as he complimented him for taking Dabura to the cleaners. Gohan saw this and wanted to start writing his apology letters to Supreme Kai with the quickness. He was now somewhat familiar with Majin Buu's game and did not like what he saw one bit. But returning to the perspective of a couple homies we haven't talked about in a bit, while their pops were busy caving one another's heads in, and Gohan was busy letting everyone down again, the two tykes sensed the insane energy spike that occurred when Buu went ape on Dabura and decided that this is where the action was and where they needed to be. Because there was no way they were going to miss out on the ass whooping of a lifetime while their dads were having all the fun. And speaking of the deadbeats, back in Random Wasteland Area 236, Goku finally got Vegeta to smell what was cooking and back off on the aggro a couple notches. Look, Vegeta, I know that for whatever reason, just seeing me breathe sometimes is enough to raise your cholesterol, but you can't lie to me and tell me you didn't feel that. This Majin Buu jerk might be the real deal, and if we want to be all the way honest, the only reason he's even here right now in the first place is because our hot and heavy sweaty man duel got out of hand and he sucked up the juices. I swear, Kakarot, if this battle doesn't kill me, it'll be your phrasing that does. And must you make me repeat myself? I already told you the whole reason I even agreed to bump uglies with that rodent was to rid myself of trifles like family and parental responsibilities. Vegeta, you're full of it, bro. One, because you already told me that you let Babidi control you, so you can't just backslide now and pretend like that whole conversation ain't happening. And two, whenever you say something that's especially cap, you make a stupid smirk on your face and that vein on the right side of your head starts to pop. Let's just cut the theatrics, bro. Save our kids before our wives never let us back in the bed again. Pissed, not only at the man's insistence that they might end the fight, but also at the fact that he was making sense, Vegeta stood up from his fighting stance and agreed to do things Kakarot's way, expressing that the fight would mean very little anyway if he was all worried over that love and saving the universe babble, so he might as well clear that crap up so the real main event could continue in proper fashion. The best part is that you could tell Goku himself was surprised that his talk no jutsu actually worked. Guess all Gohan's manga was right. Nothing like beating your enemies within an inch of their life to make them come around to your side. As Goku was getting comfortable thinking about what tag moves he wanted him and Vegeta to try out on Buu, Vegeta requested one of them perks he got from Garfield, reminding him of all the energy they just blew while squabbling, and going in dusty and tired against whatever this creature was packing was really not the way to go. Goku was like, say less, you already know I stay connected with the plug. So first I was thinking that I'll go right behind him, right? Since you probably too short to... Silence. Then everything went to black as Goku's vision faded and the last remnants of consciousness left his body. Rookie mistake, stated Vegeta, consuming a single Bush's baked as he admired the absolutely textbook donkey punch he delivered directly to the back of Kakarot's cranium. The prince acknowledged that it was his desperate lust to win back his manhood that set the stage for Buu's summoning, so it was only right that he clean up his own mess rather than recruiting the clown of all people to help him do it. Back at Buu's birthday party, Babidi was still trying his damnedest to get the cotton candy colored cretin to respect him and obey his commands. The only thing that seemed to get Buu's attention was Ratatouille's mention of returning him to his Pokeball, a fate that Buu had no intentions of ever returning to again. Gohan, peeping that Buu may fall somewhere in the chaotic neutral territory as opposed to pure evil on the alignment chart, asks Kai if they erase Splinter, would it be possible to get Buu on their side and make the whole thing a non-issue? Supremely disappointed was hearing none of it though, informing the kid they still need a Babidi alive to seal up Buu and that right now, their best plan of attack is to bide their time, wait for Stuart Little to realize that he's not that guy and he can't contain Buu, let him seal him up, then put the clamps on the rat trap. But unfortunately for our heroes, Remy and Buu seem to have established at least a temporary truce, as the mousy magician gave orders for Kirby to take out Kai and Gohan next, so his plans for universal domination could begin in earnest. Gohan, peeping that now was not the time to be standing 10 toes down, instead pointing his feet 180 degrees and began hightailing it out of there with Supreme Kai in tow. Don't worry, Kai, I may not have hands anymore, but if there's one thing I do know I'm the best at, it's running. There's no way Majin... Man didn't even get to finish the thought properly before Buu floated spread eagle directly in front of him, making Gohan lose the last vestiges of any confidence he had before Buu discombobulated the Kai right in front of him and planted him in the ground with a single hammer fist delivered with the most evil of intentions. And here, with Gohan beginning to seriously calculate his retirement plans, is where we'll call it. Homies, Majin Buu has arrived and things in the arc have changed permanently. I used to hate Buu's guts watching back in the day, but his unpredictability, coupled with him being pure comedy in the worst kind of way, has grown on me with the passage of time. Tune in next time as Gohan and Kai do their best to fend off the terrible might of Majin Buu. Will their combined strength be enough to thwart the attack, or is it Majin Buu's world now and they're just living in it? Only one way to find out. Be easy, y'all, and catch you again in the next video.